Okay, welcome back. Last time we went through Gen 3, so Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and, well, we picked our favourites out of Gen 3. So now it is time to move on to Gen 4, which was Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Which will lead to probably a great many difficult decisions here. So, starting off with normal types, I immediately know what my top 3 are here. They are Porygon Z, Lopunny, and Staraptor. I'm currently leaning towards Lopunny because I think Staraptor might win for Flying type. I don't dislike Porygon Z, I just said it's top 3 for me, but I think I like Staraptor and Lopunny a bit more. I think I'm going to give it to Lopunny mostly just because Staraptor has a good chance of winning in Flying type. And also, 1, it's just a cute little rabbit Pokemon. 2, it's one of the very few friendship evolution Pokemon that I like. And 3, I think this is kind of mostly just because of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but I did, completely train a competitively viable one. I say competitively viable, that wasn't the right word. I did train one back in the day when I actually, did play, somewhat competitive with my friends. I trained one up. I never got a shiny one, though, because I do really like the shiny. Because I love how the fur just becomes pink. I think it looks really cute and good for it. Either way, with that, yeah, I don't really have much reason beyond that. I think it's a cool Pokemon, I like its move pool and everything, but I don't really have a whole lot to go about. I don't really have a massive amount to say on it. Okay, up next is Fire type, and this is a very easy decision, because it's not going to be Heatran, it's not Rotom Heat, it's not Magmortar, and, well, it's the best of the evolutions, so yeah, the answer is Infernape. Infernape is not only my favourite Fire type in Gen 4, it's one of my favourite Fire types, period, it's one of my favourite Fighting types, period, and, well, it's also very high up there on my ratings for the starters overall. And honestly, I feel very justified in liking Infernape, because I remember back in the ye olde days, when the game first came out, I was the person in my friend group who picked Chimchar, because I pretty much always went for the fire starters, and I remember my friends insisting, no, Torterra's better, no, Empoleon's better. And then here we are, Infernape is probably the best of the 3. I just really like its design, I like its move pool, I like just the general kind of way it works, and yeah, Infernape, just very high up there with my favourite Pokemon, on just in general, never mind just locking it to one type or one gen. And I will also say that it is also very good in the anime. When it pops off, when Ash's Infernape pops off in the anime, it's always fantastic. To be totally honest, during the Masters 8 tournament, I was really kinda hoping that we would get a moment where it was just oh, he's using, the old teams. It's maybe we get, the absolute all-star team. We didn't, and that's okay. But yeah, Infernape is easily my favourite fire type in Gen 4. It's not even close. Okay, up next is water types. Fearow, Manaphy, and Palkia are out on account of being legendaries. Rotom Wash, it ain't gonna be Rotom Wash. I like Mantike, but it also is very annoying to catch, and its evolution is incredibly stupid. It's to evolve Mantike, you need to have Mantike and Remoraid in your party. I think they have to be next to each other in your party, and then the Remoraid, attaches to the Mantike when it levels up, and that's how it becomes Mantine. I don't understand that at all. Then again, I think it does make sense, because for a long time I think Mantine was, I think it was always shown as, having a Remoraid, attached to it. Anyway, it's not going to be Lumineon. It's not going to be Bibarel. I like Floatzel's Cry, I think it sounds cool. Well, and I kind of like the design, but otherwise, I'm not the biggest Floatzel fan. I'm also not the biggest Gastrodon fan. So by default, I think Empoleon just wins out on it. Like, Empoleon, well, Piplup isn't my favourite starter in the world, but I think Empoleon wins out for water types in Gen 4. Probably just by default of every other water type I just don't really care a massive amount about. Okay, moving on to the grass type. And immediately we are locked in with 3 picks. And by that I mean it is either Torterra, Roserade, or Leafeon. And I do like Leafeon, but I think it's like a distant third. Mostly just because I think it just doesn't get enough, especially in Gen 4. It's like, hey, you want to use a Leafeon in Gen 4? Do you now? Are you sure about that? Are you certain you want to use a Leafeon in Gen 4? Leaf Blade at level 71 or something. It's kind of absurd. And otherwise you're just stuck with basically like Razor Leaf and that's it. So, pretty much it is either Torterra or Roserade. And I think I'm going to give it to Torterra for 2 reasons. One, I now get the kind of funny world in which my favourite fire, water and grass types for this gen are just the 3 starters. And also because Roserade will more than likely win for poison types. Like, thinking about the other options, I'm pretty sure Roserade just runs away with poison type. And I do, like, to be totally honest, I do like Roserade more than I like Torterra. But I'm trying to not have things double up. And I like Torterra more than the next poison type. So I'll give grass to Torterra and poison will go to Roserade. I think that's a fair way to do it. Okay, so moving on to electric types. It isn't the spiny-eared Pikachu. Sorry, Pichu. Is it spiny or spiky-eared Pichu? Either way, it's not that. It's not going to be any of the Rotom forms. I like Magneton more than I like Magnezone. I think Pachirisu's cute, especially as a shiny. Actually, I'll quickly just show Pachirisu's shiny. I think it is a good example of a pink shiny. I think shiny Pachirisu is cute. Actually, I think the Shinx line is also really good when shiny. I think it probably looks best on Luxray, but it's not going to be Luxray either, because the answer was always Electivire. The answer was always going to be Electivire. Like, I can go back and forth on if I like Electabuzz or Electivire more, but I like Electivire so much more than Magmortar and so much more than all the other electric types. I'm so that will add it in this gen. Like, I know Luxray is kind of like the default I'm playing Gen 4 Pokemon on alongside Staraptor, but like, if you actually like sit down and look at Luxray, most of the time it's not very good. Especially in Gen 4 before like Wild Charge and everything even existed. The best stab move you got naturally was base 65 power. You got your best stab move before it became Luxio, I think. Because I think you get Spark at like level 13 or something. And then you get Luxio at level 15, I think. Because you get Thunderfang way later. And Spark is just better than Thunderfang as far as I can tell. Also, I will say another thing about Electivire, because I kind of got sidetracked talking about Luxray. I find it kind of fun how I like Magby a lot more than I like Elekid. I like Electabuzz and Magmar about the same, and I like Electivire a lot more than I like Magmortar. I think that's a very nice kind of balance for them. Another good thing Electivire has going for it is it actually gets a fair bit of representation in the anime, because I remember Paul has one, and I'm pretty sure it's also one of the first Gen 4 Pokemon that appeared in the anime, because I'm pretty sure Ash comes back from the battle frontier, when that's like around Kanto, and I'm pretty sure Gary turns up and just has an Electivire, and I mean, the Gario seal of approval is a strong thing, you know? Anyway, moving on to ice types. And I'll be honest, Snover and Abomasnow, they're okay. Rotom Freeze, meh. Frostlass is kind of cool. I still kind of question how Frostlass and also Glalie. I kind of question, like, I can kind of see it with Snorunt with the mouth, but I still just don't get it. But yeah, it's a 2-horse race. Sorry, Mamoswine, you're cool, but you are a distant third, behind Weavile and Glaceon. So, the way I'm looking at this is, I think this goes to Glaceon, because Weavile will probably win for Dark-type. That's my current thought and assumption. Like, Weavile is super good, it is like dead heat, it is right there next to Glaceon for my favourite Ice type in Gen 4, but like, it also has the chance to win in Dark type, and I think it would be, not disingenuous, but I think it would be amiss to not at least mention Glaceon. I won't say exactly where it places, but I do have one for my favourite Eevee evolution later. And, you know, a couple of evolutions have already appeared. Sylveon might make an appearance later, and even Jolteon is very high up in my estimations. But hey, we'll see how that goes when we get there. And Glaceon is also a Pokemon that, once again, it has a really cool shiny that I like. It's one of those shinies that doesn't change much, but I think it changes enough that I like it. And also, I feel like Glaceon is just a Pokemon that gets nothing. Like, Sylveon, when it came out, got Pixelate as its hidden ability. Glaceon got Ice Body. They could have effectively done the same thing. I still maintain Glaceon, yes, it's not that fast, and yes, it's still an Ice type, but I think it would have benefited by having Refrigerate over having Ice Body. It's like, oh cool, it gets a little bit of health back per turn in the hail, versus all of your normal moves are now Ice Stab. I think that would have been so much better, and they're more powerful. So like, someone sends out like flying types or dragons or something, you just Hyper Voice. Glaceon would actually maybe be good, who knows. Either way, I still just really like Glaceon as my pick for Ice types. Okay, moving on to Fighting types, where genuinely, I think we have a winner by default, because Infernape already won for Fire types. Lucario is probably going to win for Steel types, and Galed's probably going to win for Psychic types. So by default, I think Toxicroak wins. I do really like Krogunk, but I think I like Toxicroak just a teensy bit more. I kind of like, I like the kind of poison, I like how it has, like, one, I like how it's a poison frog. I think that's a new, cool, unique take for Pokemon to have. Now I think about it, technically, Bulbasaur is a little bit frog-like, I suppose. But up until then, we didn't really have a poison frog. That and giving a fighting type gave it a bit more of an edge to it. I think that was cool aesthetically, and I think it works for it. Especially how it has, like, the one poison claw sticking out of its hand as well. That, and I just kind of like its design. But I don't know what the term is for, like, the giant kind of sack thing. Not a fan of that, but I know that it's there because it's meant to be, like, a frog or a toad. I forget which one it's meant to be. Anyway, Toxicroak actually won this one by default anyway. But anyway, moving on to poison types, and, well, Toxicroak just won fighting. Skuntank, sorry, but it's never going to be that choice. Drapion. Drapion, honorable mention. Honorable mention for Drapion for being a Pokemon to bamboozle me. Because I'm sure this happened to many people as well. You're going through Pokemon Diamond, or Pearl, or maybe even Platinum for the first time, and you've arrived at the Elite Four. You go in, and the first opponent is a bug user. So you just send out your Fire type, or your Flying type, or your Rock type, and you just one-shot all of his other Pokemon. And suddenly, out comes a Drapion. And your Rock move, or your Fire move, or your Flying move, suddenly it's not super effective. What's happened here? And then you learn, Drapion isn't Bug, it's Dark Poison. Actually, it's Poison Dark, but either way, still, it is a very cool combo that I very much like a whole bunch. But it falls to the wayside compared to Roserade. I absolutely adore Roserade. It's one of my absolute favourites. Like, Roserade, my only issue with it is catching a Badoo early game is kind of miserable to actually get it trained up, even though you do get a rock-type gym, which definitely alleviates a bit of the problem. But like, once it becomes Roselia, you are golden. Because, as it turns out, yeah, Roselia is pretty good, and Roserade is genuinely fantastic. If you've never used Roserade in a playthrough, I would genuinely recommend it. Like, I know I trained one in Omega Ruby. I think it had Energy Ball, Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, and I think Shadow Ball. Yeah, I think that was the moveset. For some reason I thought it had Dazzling Gleam, but I don't think it can learn that. Either way, I know it had like 4 of those 5 moves, but I don't remember what I dropped for it. Anyway, moving on. Ground types. Okay, so it's not Wormadam, it's not Gastrodon, it's not Rhyperior. I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I like Rhydon so much more than I like Rhyperior. Torterra's already out because it's, because it won 4 ground types. And Garchomp, I think, wins Dragon type by default. Yes, it does. So that leaves me with 2 options. Hippowdon or Gliscor. And just like with Drapion, Hippowdon gets an honourable mention. Because once again, you're playing Pokemon Diamond or Pearl or Platinum for the first time. And you fight a guy in Victory Road who has a Hippowdon. He has a male Hippowdon. So it looks like that. You go and fight, you go and you fight Bertha, and she sends out her Hippowdon. And it looks different. I genuinely thought that she'd sent out a shiny. Because I didn't know there was a difference. Because I hadn't seen a Hippopotas up until that point, I don't think. So I didn't know that they were, Hippowdon changes more between genders than a lot of shinies do. Like, genuinely, that is really impressive. But the answer's still Gliscor. Like, the answer's always going to be Gliscor. Like, Gliscor was a Pokemon that I thought it looked cool when I first saw it announced for Gen 4. I thought its sprite in Diamond and Pearl looked a bit weird. But then, in Platinum, I got a sprite that I really liked, which I think is the one we're currently seeing. And also, I didn't actually get to use one properly until Black and White. Like, I beat Black and White, I then went and caught a Gligar just on a whim, and trained it up. And as it turns out, Gliscor became a Pokemon that I just really liked. So much so that it actually became one of my favourite Pokemon ever since. It's like, I kind of like a little bit more than I did like 6 years ago, but it's still like easily one of my favourites. Okay, moving on to one of the big ones for Gen 4. I say one of the big ones for Gen 4 because I think there's a lot in here that I like. Maybe not. Okay, so let's run through this already. Gliscor is out because that one for ground. Honchkrow, I do really like Honchkrow, but I like Staraptor more. Honchkrow gets points for exactly the same reasons Murkrow did, and I think Honchkrow also did a fantastic job in keeping Murkrow, like, relevant as a Pokemon. Yanmega is probably going to win for Bug, Togekiss probably wins for Fairy, so I think Staraptor does in fact win for Flying. And I don't think I even need to really explain Staraptor. It's like it's one of the Gen 4 All-Stars, you know? The Pokemon, like, everyone's used in a playthrough of Gen 4, because you get it right at the start. It's super fast, it's super powerful. It gets Intimidate, so it even has a bit of utility thrown in there. Genuinely, you cannot go wrong with a Staraptor. Like, a great many people will tell you it is the best Route 1 bird, and it's kind of hard to argue with that statement. Aside from maybe against, like, Gen 6 specifically Talonflame, back when Gale Wings was absolutely disgustingly broken. but we can talk about Talonflame when I get to Gen 6. Moving on to Psychic types. Well, it's not going to be Chingling. I don't care for Bronzor or Bronzong. I think Mime Jr. is kind of cute. I like Mime Jr.'s design. It does a lot to try to redeem Mr. Mime, and these are legendaries. But it's all about Gallade. It has to be Gallade. I'll be honest, I think I like Gardevoir less, because it's like, if I catch a Ralts, I always want to get the Gallade over Gardevoir. Like, there will be times where Gardevoir is objectively a better choice, but I just like Gallade it more. I think it looks cooler, I like how it has blade arms, and I'll talk about it more when I get to the gimmick forms, but I really like its Mega Evolution. It's one of my favourite Megas. So yeah, Gallade easily sweeps for Psychic type in Gen 4. Bug types. It's not going to be Cricketart. Funny meme sound aside, it's not going to be Cricketoon. It's not going to be Burmy. It's not going to be Wormadam. I don't really care that much about Skorupi. It's like, I like Drapion, but training Skorupi is kind of painful, not gonna lie. Especially when you're playing Gen 4, and it's like, cool, what's my attacking move? I have, like, Knockoff, and it's, like, pre-Gen 6 Knockoff, so it's, like, base 20 power, and it does nothing. And then there's, like, no enemies in the game, no Pokemon in the game, like, that hold held items. It's so bad to try to train one sometimes. Okay, Combi and Vespiquen. I don't really have anything against them, but they're definitely not my favourite bugs. But I did save a special mention for our second last, because obviously Yanmega wins, but I do like Mothim. I've temporarily just put Mothim in because I want to talk about Mothim for a second. Like, I used one in a playthrough once, just on a whim, and I was pleasantly surprised with Mothim for a good part of the game. Obviously, it falls off eventually, but, like, I like its design, it kind of redeems Burmy, and honestly, if it was more readily available in games, I would not mind using one in a playthrough. Unfortunately, it is, like, never available in games, because Burmy's, like, never available in any of the games. And therefore, well, if I can't get a Burmy, I can't get a Mothim, because you need a male Burmy to get a Mothim. Also, it would have been kind of cool. Actually, no, because Wormadam's entire gimmick is copied over from Burmy, so it wouldn't really work for Mothim. But imagine if Mothim got other forms as well. That could be kind of cool. But no, the answer is always going to be Yanmega. Yanmega is, much like with Honchkrow and a few others, I think Yanmega prevented Yanma from just completely falling into obscurity. Like, no doubt, Yanma and a good few other Pokemon are just like, oh, that exists? Like Pokemon that people forget are there if they didn't get these evolutions. Would I have loved a Mega Yanmega? Absolutely. Like, make it make it a bug dragon type, and that could be so cool. Make it a proper, full-on dragonfly. Emphasis on the dragon. Similarly, maybe bug dragon Mega Flygon. That also could have been cool. But, you know, I don't think we're going to be getting Mega Evolutions again for a very, very long time. And by that I mean, I don't think we're going to see Mega Evolutions again, and barring some kind of miracle until we get, like, a Gen 6 remake. Which, honestly, the idea of that already kind of saddens me. Because, let's be real, the Diamond and Pearl ones weren't great. Eventually, Black and White will get them, and I will be very upset if they mess those up. Personally, I don't think Black and White need remakes. But I'm getting off topic now, because I was supposed to be talking about a Yanmega. And Yanmega is just really cool. I like it a whole bunch. I used it in a playthrough once. It was very good. Big fan. Big recommend if you can get one in a playthrough. Which is actually very sparingly. They are not available often. Now that I think about it. Like, the last time I remember Yanma or Yanmega being regularly available is, I think you can get one in X and Y, and I think it's like a rare encounter in a horde. I don't remember exactly where, but I think you can get them in that game. Okay, moving on. Rock types. It's not gonna be Frobo Pass, I can tell you that for certain. Bonsly, credit to Bonsly being the first Generation 4 Pokemon, as it first appeared in Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness. Once again, Rhyperior does kind of just fall short again, and because, again, I just like Rhydon more. I do like Bastiodon. I kind of like its design. I like its design. I think it looks cool, but I prefer Rampardos. Is this because I played Pokemon Diamond over Pokemon Pearl when I was a kid? Maybe. But also, I like Rampardos' sprite, especially in Diamond, where it looks like it's just gonna, like there, it looks like it's just kind of standing. But, like, in Diamond, it has a sprite where it looks like it's about to charge, and I think that looks super cool for it. Okay, moving on. Ghost types. Giratina is already out because it's a legendary, obviously. Drifloon, I kind of like the design for it, but I've never really liked Drifloon or Drifblim all that much as Pokemon. Frostlass is okay. Spiritomb is funny meme Pokemon, because I know no one who actually had one legitimately in Generation 4. Despite the fact that everyone seemed to have the game. Like, everyone seemed to have the game. No one had Spiritomb. Aside from the people that had, like, an action replay and just went, yeah, I got Spiritomb. It's like, no you didn't. You had an action replay. It doesn't count. Okay, so that basically leaves me with Miss Magius and Dusk Noir. I will say, I do like Dusk Noir. I think it looks really cool. Well, I love kind of what it's going for, and I vaguely remember in Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Darkness and Explorers of Time. I don't remember exactly what it does, but I remember it plays an important role in the story there, and I remember liking it in that, which is kind of weird, because I also remember not particularly caring for Grovyle through that, despite the fact that I know Grovyle is a Pokemon that people got a lot of attachment to because of that Mystery Dungeon game. I should replay the Mystery Dungeon games, is my big takeaway there. But I think my answer is Miss Magius. Like, it feels like a very natural evolution for Misdreavus. And again, it's a Pokemon that once again saved it's a Pokemon that once again saved a Pokemon from Gen 2 from falling into obscurity. Because, like Misdreavus, I like Misdreavus. It's my favorite ghost type of Gen 2. Obviously, it has to be. It's the only ghost type of Gen 2. Still weird that Morty doesn't have one. But, like, I don't know, everything about it just seems like a more natural evolution for it. Like, the different coloured tufts in its hair change, and it grows out into, like, a proper witch's cap. And then, like, the beads still continue, and it forms its own, like, little cloak. I just really like the design for Miss Magius. Terrible shiny. Terrible shiny. But I really like Miss Magius. It's my favorite ghost type added in Gen 4. Dragon type, this is an easy choice. Rounding out the trio, because, you know, legendaries are still disqualified. Rounding out the trio of Staraptor, imagine Luxray is here, and Garchomp. That's Gabite. And Garchomp. I don't think Garchomp needs an explanation. I don't think Garchomp needs an introduction. Everyone knows Garchomp. Everyone knows, hey, like, everyone eventually learned, hey, you can get a Gibble in that cave underneath Cycling Road after the second gym. It's like, why can I get the game's pseudo-legendary Pokemon and the TM for Earthquake 2 gyms in? That is absurd. And you get Garchomp as Garchomp before the final gym. Like, it is absolutely absurd. Garchomp is, to this day, one of the most popular Pokemon, and it's so easy to see why, even if it isn't my favorite pseudo. Okay, moving on. Dark types. It's not Skuntank, it's not Spiritomb, it's not Darkrai. Even if I was including legendaries, it wasn't going to be Darkrai. Okay, so, Drapion is good. I do like Drapion. I feel bad for not saying Honchkrow, because Honchkrow is another Pokemon that I think saved Murkrow from falling into obscurity, but I think people tend to not really care about Honchkrow. Just to run through the thing again, actually. Because Murkrow was a Pokemon I did not particularly care about very much. And then I was playing through Diamond, and I got to the Elite Four, and I realised I have nothing to deal with Psychic types. So I caught this Murkrow, and eventually I trained it up, and it became a Honchkrow. You know, after I used a Duskstone on it, because that's just how it worked. I also remember it was sassy-natured. I don't know why I specifically remember that, but that's beside the point. And I don't know, Honchkrow just became a Pokemon that I kind of just really liked. It was a Pokemon that I hadn't really considered up until that point. And then it's like, hang on, wait, this is actually really good. This is a really solid Pokemon. And I kind of wish it was available in more games, because I really would like to use one again. Next time I play Platinum, I might try... No, wait, I don't think you can get one again in Platinum. Either way, I would like to be able to use one again, but I can't say it's Honchkrow. It's all about Weavile. Much like with so many other Pokemon, Weavile saw Sneasel and pulled it out of the depths of obscurity into being one of my favourite Pokemon. Like, Weavile is so cool. Like, it's fast, it's powerful, it gets good moves, high crit chance a lot of the time. I love its design, and also, I've lost my train of thought. And also, if I have to say one thing about it, its shiny is hideous. I hate that shiny. Same with Sneasel's one. Like, I remember I was going through Scarlet and Violet, and I randomly encountered a shiny Sneasel, and I've never been so disappointed to find a random shiny. It's like, cool, I found a shiny of a Pokemon I like. Oh, it's a shiny Sneasel. Great. But yeah, Weavile... Like, Weavile took Sneasel from being a Pokemon I did not care about at all, and then it got the physical special split. It got everything else, and it suddenly became very evident that Weavile was a Pokemon that was actually going to stick with me for a very long time, because Weavile became one of my favourites. Like, not just in Gen 4, like, Weavile is another one of my favourite Pokemon overall, and, you know, maybe the fact that it has two of my favourite typings put together is... maybe that helps it just a little bit. You know, just a little bit. Same with how Houndoom gets it for Dark Fire, Weavile gets it for Dark Ice. Yes, I like ice types, that may be weird, because they kind of suck most of the time, but I like ice types, what are you gonna do? Okay, moving on to steel types. Empoleon's already been picked, it's not gonna be Wormadam, it's not Probopass, these two are disqualified. Bronzong and Bronzor, I said that in the wrong order, it's not gonna be them, and I like Magneton more than I like Magnezone, so congratulations to Lucario for winning by default. I'll be honest, I do like Magneton so much more than I like Magnezone. Like, Magnezone is one of those Pokemon that, like, it's there, I don't hate it, but I greatly prefer Magneton. Like, if I'm playing a game and I'm given the options, if I'm playing a game and I see my options in front of me, a prime example for this could actually be Black and White 2, and if I'm looking at my options here and I see I can get either a Magnezone or a Magneton and give it the Eviolite, I'm just going to keep the Magneton. And Lucario, I don't think Lucario needs any introduction. It's cool, it has a great moveset, its movie is kind of cool from what I remember. I haven't seen Lucario in the Mystery of Mew for a very long time, so don't quote me on that. And also, I think it says a lot that Game Freak also absolutely believed in it so much, because it's heavily marketed. And also Ash eventually got one. Mega Lucario is really cool. And also it got to be in Smash Bros. So I think it also got bonus points for that as well. It also got bonus points for that, because I'll be honest, I don't really like Steel type very much. Okay, almost done. Fairy type. This is an easy choice. Mime Jr. is kinda good. But Togekiss can just Serene Grace Air-slash things, and that's very funny. That, and also, Togekiss once again saved another Pokemon from the depths. From the depths of what is this that Togetic had found itself in. So yeah, Togekiss, easily my favourite fairy type in Gen 4, out of all two options. Favourite starter Pokemon? Now, here's the thing. I do love all three of these. I really like Turtwig, I really like Piplup. If I was going off their middle evolutions, I think Grottle and Print... I think this gen is actually maybe a bit weak in its middle evolutions. Like, Grottle, Monferno, and Printluf, I'm kind of meh on all of them. But their first and third forms are all fantastic. But Chimchar is easily my pick here. It's not even a... there isn't even a moment of doubt or hesitation. Like, I can talk around it as much as I want, but Chimchar is my favourite. Okay, moving on. Gimmick forms. Now, this is a tough call. Because it's either Lopunny, Gallade, or Lucario. I will quickly pick Gallade, just to show its shiny form, because I think it looks super cool. Like, I love how it gets, like, the black cloak. I think that looks so cool for it. And I love how that also mirrors perfectly with the one for Gardevoir, where Mega Gardevoir gets, like, the black dress. I think it looks super cool. And Gallade just looks super cool with that. It's definitely it's probably my favorite shiny Mega. Actually, okay, I know it's not Garchomp, I know it's not Mega Garchomp, and I know it's not Mega Abomasnow. But I'm kind of torn here. Because I know it's, like, Lucario, like, I don't think it's Lucario. Despite the fact that Ash had one in the anime, and it kind of popped off. That, and you also get one for free in-game in X and Y. So that definitely gets it a few bonus points. Now, I think it might be Lopunny. Because I already kind of liked Gallade and Lucario, but I think Mega Lopunny made me, like, reconsider my opinion on the Pokemon and try using it again. Because I like Lopunny, but it's also very difficult to kind of make work sometimes, because it isn't the most powerful Pokemon. Like, visually, I like Mega Gallade the most, I think. But for having one on my team, I kind of go between all of them. Okay, I'm gonna say Mega Gallade, but, like, it's a three-way tie with Lopunny and Lucario. I don't know, I will think more about this one, and I might change it around as I go further through this. Okay, Legendaries. It's not Arceus. It's not Fiona, Manaphy, or Darkrai, or Shaman. It's not Cresselia. It's not Heatran. It's not Regigigas. It's not any of the beings of emotion. It is either Dialga, Palkia, or Giratina. And Palkia is my least favourite of that trilogy, so... not of that trilogy, of that trio. So, it's either Dialga or Giratina. And... when it comes down to it... I like the Ghost Dragon, you know? And I don't know which form I like better. Like, I love... Actually, I have a better story, I think, for Alt-Ed form. Because I remember I was first playing Pokemon Diamond. It's like, at this point, it's like early... it's some point in 2007. I finished the game. It's like 10:30 p.m. You know, at this point, I'm still like 10 years old, so that's like, wow, I'm gonna go to sleep soon at times. And I'm on my way down to Pastoria City from Veilstone, and I see a new path. So I go through it. It's like, oh, Spring Path, Send Off Spring, Turn Back Cave. I completely ignore the way the game tells me to do the cave, and just walk forward over and over again, until eventually I get to a different room. And then, I imagine this would be like one of the most horrifying things you could see in the world of Pokemon. Right there, like, this is like the inner cave equivalent to like, is like the inner cave equivalent to like, you're swimming in the ocean and then you see like the shadow of Kyogre beneath you. Because like, imagine you're just going through this cave, and then suddenly, in the darkness, you just see the, like, you don't know exactly what it is, but you see this form. And it's like this 16-foot tall ghost dragon. That would be absolutely horrifying. And one, I think that is like a memory that I've always just remembered. Two, I think Giratina looks really cool. I love its wings. But at the same time, I really like the Distortion world. I kind of go back and forth on which form, but it's definitely Giratina. Giratina is the winner for my favorite legendary in Gen 4. Okay, so with that, that is Generation 4 complete. So I'm going to end this one off here. Next time we'll start up with Generation 5 with Pokemon Black, White, Black 2, and White 2. So as always, feel free to leave a comment or click any buttons down below if you feel so inclined. And I will hopefully see you all for, well, Gen 5 in the next one. Okay, thanks for watching. Later.